So you don't want to hear any more of me, you want to hear somebody who knows how to make a speech, and we have Nigel Farage. Now what do you do when you get to that line in a speech where you say, the next speaker needs no introduction, and I'm afraid in this case the next speaker does need no introduction, and I'm delighted therefore to introduce to you to speak tonight Mr. Nigel Farage, leader of Nigel.
Well, good evening, everybody. Pretty good warm introduction, wasn't it? And thank you, Roger. What a great warm-up act you are, I have to say. It's interesting, isn't it? The East Midlands, there's quite a lot going on, isn't there, really? Because we have 3 weeks from today a European election, and Roger and the team will be out there on that ballot paper. We have local elections happening in the East Midlands 3 weeks today. And I understand that UKIP East Midlands has managed to cover, is it 92% of the seats in this region, more actually than some of the other so-called main parties. So, wonderful achievement. And we're giving you a chance to vote for us in the Euros and in the locals. But you might have noticed over the last few days that there's going to be another election going on too in the East Midlands, in the constituency of Newark. Now, the press is a funny thing, and it was about 7:21, I think, when the phone rang, and I was told that Patrick Mercer had stood down. And at 7:30, we had 900 people waiting for me to go and give a speech in the Forum at Bath. And I was asked, what was I going to do? I said, I'll think about it overnight, which of course was interpreted by the press as I was 99.9% certain to put my name forward to contest the Newark by-election, which I never was. And then, of course, the accusations come that I've run chicken. I heard today that the writ's been moved and that the by-election will take place on the 5th of June. To which all I can say is, thank goodness I had the sound judgment not to want to put my name forward, because by the time we get these elections over, there is only going to be a week left before the Newark by-election. And I'm just going to spend the next 3 weeks touring around Britain, doing things like this. I think this probably is the most significant by-election this party has ever had. And there is an amazing opportunity here in that the postal votes for the by-election will go out to the voters in Newark before the end of the European election campaign. And that Patrick Mercer, having left in these circumstances, there is almost no incentive, despite the fact there's a massive 16,000 majority, there's almost no incentive for those Conservative voters to want to endorse that kind of behaviour. I don't know who UKIP will choose to be their candidate for this by-election. Next Monday and Tuesday, the local branch and the NEC will get together and work this out. But let me make this absolutely clear. I get just a little bit cheesed off when I'm told that we're a one-man party. I think when Diane James nearly won the Eastleigh by-election, it proved we're certainly not a one-man party. And I don't know who we're going to select to fight that by-election, but I know there will be somebody who is committed to what UKIP stands for, has a link with the region and the constituency, and believe me, folks, we are going to throw the kitchen sink at this by-election and give it our very best shot and try and win our first seat. And it's been a remarkable couple of weeks, really. Anybody would have to have been asleep to miss the UKIP posters that went up a couple of weeks ago. And I'm pleased to tell you there's a new batch of posters going up next Monday. And I'll be unveiling those over the course of the weekend. And I've no doubt that'll make the establishment even more angry and even more furious, because they don't want to engage with the issues. You know, we are fighting a European election campaign, and we're saying very simply and very clearly that whilst we love Europe in terms of different diverse nations, we loathe the idea of all these different countries being forced together into one. They want to harmonise us. They want to homogenise us. I mean, God help us, they even want to pasteurise us. and turn us into this new European identity with a flag that no one wants, an anthem that no one stands up to, and a president that no one's ever heard of. Well, I mean, having said that, I did do my best to get the fellow well known, didn't I? And I should be on the guy's payroll, really, shouldn't I, for the contribution I mean, I doubled his visibility ratings overnight in France, Germany, Britain, Italy. That must be worth quite a lot of money. No, we're the ones engaging, we're the ones connecting, we're the ones saying we don't want 75% of our laws made somewhere else. We're the ones saying we don't want £55 million a day of taxpayers' money going to these organisations. And we're the ones saying we don't want a total open door to 485 million people where we have no check or no balance who comes here in terms of quantity or quality. We feel that these three political parties, whilst they may wear different coloured rosettes at election time, have in fact become three slightly differing brands of social democracy. They are all committed actually to the same policies. They are all happy that most of our laws are made somewhere else. They are happy with open door immigration, and they've done their best at successive elections over the last 15 years and subsequently when they're in government to deny us an opportunity to vote in a referendum to see whether we want to change the status quo. And I don't know about you, but I feel horribly and badly let down by almost the entire political class in Britain, and I view this election, 3 weeks today, as our chance to tell them what we really has been on a bit of a roll. And, okay, one of the opinion polls yesterday looked so wildly optimistic that I scarcely wanted to read it or believe it. But even if you take that out, even on the most objective or pessimistic analysis of the polls, you know, we are vying to win these European elections, which, when you think about it, is a truly sensational state of affairs. And I have to say, there is one man that I want to pay tribute to. There is one man without whom, in my view, we would not find ourselves in this position. He's the man that's done more for UKIP. He's the man that's done more for the Eurosceptic cause. And you're wondering who I'm talking about. It could be Roger and Martine. But wonderful though they are, I'm sorry to say it's not them. It could be the Yorkshire businessman, Paul Sykes, who's put a vast amount of money into this campaign and is paying for the billboards. But it's not him. No one man has done more than anybody in the course of the last 40 years to advance our cause by challenging me to have 2 public debates. I want to thank Nick Clegg. I know politics is supposed to be serious, but come on, let's have a smile while we're doing it. No, because the truth is, one of our big objections, one of our big arguments, those of us that have been in UKIP right from the very start, was our sheer frustration that we never got the opportunity to debate these issues on national television. Yes. And so many times when I was on Question Time, you know, a question would come up about energy or employment legislation or whatever it would be, And I would say, but of course, we can't do this. We're impotent. Our hands are tied because of European Union membership. And Dimbleby would say, oh yeah, but we're not here to discuss Europe. This really isn't relevant to the conversation. And we've been through 4 decades, excuse me, of not having a proper debate in this country. I've got a frog in my throat. I thought you'd like that. So what Clegg did, he gave us the opportunity, for the first time in 40 years, to have 2 hours of televised and radio debate. And wasn't it wonderful? Because he thought he had the killer punch. He thought he had the line, and it's a line that he uses, and it's a line that Cameron uses, and it's a line that Miliband uses. And it's a line that Chris Patten uses, and it's a line that Peter Mandelson uses. Come on, can I have a few sort of stage boos for Mandelson? It'd be hopeless, wouldn't they, at a panto?
Oh, no, we won't.
Oh, yes, you would. But it's a line that they all use, and Cleggy, or Cleggers, used it in the first debate. The killer blow. The blow that would knock UKIP out of the game, the blow that would destroy the Eurosceptic argument, and it was dead simple. He said, if Britain left the European Union, we would lose 3.5 million jobs in this country. Kabang! Expecting. Well, I thought it was nonsense too. And I will explain why I thought that in a moment, if you'll allow me. Nothing wrong with enthusiasm. And this is what they believe. If you tell the British public this, they will recoil with horror at the idea that we could once again become an independent, self-governing democracy. Now, I think the reason that people like Clegg and Miliband and Cameron and Chris Patten, we're getting there, and Lord Mandelson, I think the reason that they think this will have resonance, I think the reason possibly some of them might believe it themselves, is that we are now governed by a very narrow segment of society in this country. And what I mean by that is, we are now governed by a group of people who all go to the same handful of schools, who nearly all go to Oxford, who nearly all study PPE. Well, you could say so far, so good. But then who all go straight from Oxford to a research office in a political back room, become members of Parliament aged 27 or 28, cabinet ministers in their early 40s, and ladies and gentlemen, this country is now run by a group of college kids who've never done a day's work in their lives and have no experience or understanding of the real economy. Because if any of them had ever worked in the real world, if any of them had ever run a business, if any of them had ever known the fear that actually exists when you're out there, you know, risking your own money, trying to make a profit, they would know this. They would know that in a free market society, and I remember, you know, and I ran a brokerage office that I was the boss of for 9 years, and we had a sign on the wall, and it said, "The customer is king." Because I wanted all my staff to understand, however annoyed or angry sometimes you got at a customer that rang up with a complaint, unless you keep your customers on board, you lose your business. The customer is king. And just think about this. Whilst the European market is important for British exports, you know, we sell about 40% of our overseas products to our next door neighbours in Europe. It's an important market. It declines every year because Europe, relative to the rest of the world, is declining, but it's still an important market. And we sell £100 billion worth of goods every year to the European Union. But here's the kicker. They sell us £150 billion worth of goods every year. We have now become the Eurozone's biggest export market in the world. They sell us more than they sell America. more than they sell Japan, more than they sell to China. You know, Mercedes, Audi, BMW sell a lot of high-priced motor cars in this country. Do you know we are the highest consumers per capita of champagne in the world? I've done my bit to keep things. But we buy 20 million bottles of champagne every year from France. And as Lord Digby Jones, who has worked in the real world and was for a bit the boss of the CBI, said, we would renegotiate a free trade deal with the other countries of the European Union within 24 hours because the German car industry would demand nothing less. And I thank Nick Clegg for the chance to put that to the and in fact, what we've got to do, no longer do we have to tell people what is wrong with Brussels, what is wrong with Europe. The people of this country know it. They know it. What we've now got to do is to show them there is a bigger, better